Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Freeman Files, J-Free 906 podcast. We got Seth and Tom Burns with us here tonight. How you guys doing?
Howdy.
Tom, you're still muted. I got
I'm
you.
doing great.
Oh, there it is. I had Tom
I
on
had
here
a couple
twice.
different things open here. It sounded like I was standing at the bottom of a well in New Ross or something.
Ooh, I would love to go down in that well at New Ross.
Yeah, Vikings could have built that,
They could. I know. There is some symbolism on the side. There's a triangle down there.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, how you guys doing tonight? Appreciate you being here with me tonight to go through this episode. Double header tonight. So we're going to be doing two episodes tonight because honestly, the Curse of Oak Island was a good episode, but the Tales of Oak Island, the Samuel Ball episode, I thought was very good.
It was.
We have to talk about it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Linda said, "Oh, I can hear you shuffling your paper. Sorry about that, but I realized in the last second."
Yeah, we don't have we don't have any papers.
No papers or anything. But I realized I had the wrong microphone selected, and that's why I muted this one, but not the one that.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, that's what it was. Little snap. I wish I had an engineer. If only we had an engineer. Anyway, thank you. Thank you, folks, for being here with us tonight. We appreciate it very much. And we are on the eve of Thanksgiving, and I would like to wish everybody in the States a happy Thanksgiving for tomorrow. And if you do any festivities, I guess we're going to go to the zoo and check out the zoo lights over in Columbus Zoo tomorrow or on Friday.
Cool.
So that'd be fun. Yeah. It's going to be cold, though.
Supposed to get some weather down there in places, I guess.
Yes. Cold and weather coming, and I'm thinking Florida is not far away. We gotta head out of here soon. So, folks, if you haven't already, we'd like if you would subscribe to the channel. Appreciate that very much. And if you like the content of the show we do for you here tonight, please give us a thumbs up. It helps so very much with all the YouTube stuff, and we like that. Later on in the episode, right between the two, when we get done with the Oak Island stuff and before we jump into the Tales of Oak Island, we're going to do a giveaway again tonight. And I will show what we have. We have a candle. It's the Real Treasure of Oak Island. And it's a candle there. And let's see. The candle was left the candle on the left was created by a member, Gina. Cool. There you go. Yeah, and the magnet on the right was donated by Michelle Tomlier, right? Did I say that right this time?
Tomeyer.
I'm sorry.
It's hard to believe, folks. We practiced that.
I know, I did. I practiced it.
Linda's probably shaking her head.
Tomeyer. She's laughing so hard. She might be crying. I don't know. Sorry about that, but we will talk about that a little bit as we get closer to that point, and we'll kind of explain all the different things that you need to do to be eligible for the giveaway. So,
yeah,
all right.
If you think Tomeyer was tough, wait till we get to pronouncing the meadows in Newfoundland. That'll be a blast.
I just say the meadows now. I
have to the meadows.
Meadows.
Yeah. You kind of have to roll through it pretty quickly to make that. So,
yeah.
All right. So let's jump into the Curse of Oak Island. I thought this one didn't have a lot of super stuff in it, but yet still some very interesting information that they gave us. Yeah, there you go, Seth. You got shout outs. Oh yes, would also like to give a this is a tough one. We have two friends to the show that are having some medical issues and
going through some stuff. Yes, Noel Berg that you guys all know. Some of you know Noel and also Jamie. Cuba is also on that list, so we would like you to keep them in mind as we go through it, and a shout out for both of them as they deal with their particular circumstances. So,
yeah, prayers and love to you both.
Yep, absolutely.
Love you guys.
Absolutely. Yep. Okay, so let's jump into it. So, right off the bat, we're jumping into the money pit. The guys are drilling. The golden egg. I get a little confused sometimes. I don't know about you guys and the rest of you in the chat.
I'm confused.
They keep, we had the blob, and we had the baby blob,
mm-hmm.
Then we had the pie and the blob and the baby blob. And now we got the golden egg included in that.
And we got Samuel Ball with cabbages and lemons and limes.
So much to confuse us in all of this. But thinking about pie, never mind. I just went to Thanksgiving pie. But yeah, what's your favorite pie, by the way? Thanksgiving pie.
Pumpkin pie all the way for me. I mean, there's no bad pie in my book. I will eat if there's pie, I have to try every kind. Are y'all that way? I'm not picky, but pumpkin's my favorite.
Yeah, pumpkin's like
depending on the time of year, pumpkin. Yeah, Thanksgiving would be pumpkin.
Yeah, mine. This year, I really one of my favorites besides blueberry and apple, of course, is. And here we go, because some people will yell at me for the way I say this. Pecan pie.
Pecan pie is so good, and that's right up there. Peach cobbler. Have you guys ever had a good peach cobbler?
Yep. Mince pie. Oh, there you go.
Mincemeat for Christmas.
Apple,
yep.
Chocolate pie. There we go.
Now, Jan, did I say it correctly? Is it pecan pie or pecan pie?
Pecan. I say pecan.
Tomato.
Chocolate pie. I love that one, Linda.
I feel like it's context, because I wouldn't say a pecan sandy. You have to say a pecan sandy.
Pecan.
And if I'm talking about pie, I would say pecan pie.
Right.
I would give up any piece of pie for a piece of cheesecake.
Ooh. I had a pumpkin cheesecake the other night.
Oh, wow.
It was good.
Yeah, that's.
Well, I'm gonna go eat. You guys just carry on.
Every time Thanksgiving comes around, you get thinking about all that stuff, and and I guess the turkeys are kind of going to the wayside. I don't know. I still like turkey.
Oh, I love turkey.
Yeah, I can have turkey.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Now that we've covered all that food, so they drilled the EN13 last week, and now they're working on EN14. And as you saw in those graphs, they were showing the different areas that they wanted to do this drill program in the Golden Egg area. And I thought I would try to show you here. So here you got the garden shaft, of course, and I think that Golden Egg kind of runs kind of like that, somewhere in that general area. They said that it's 15 by 35 or something like that, 15 feet wide by 30 or 40 feet long. And it basically runs underneath the corner of the garden shaft like that, sort of. So they're drilling in this area. And one of the things that Terry Matheson said that I thought was important was that we want to be able to drill, because some people ask, well, why do you drill every 5 feet like that? Well, a couple of reasons. One is because of the way that the drill walks as it goes down. Any kind of let me get that off there.
So when we say the drill's walking, that's what those little squiggly worms on the map represents, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
That shot you got right there, Jeff. See the little red dot with pump or whatever at the bottom?
Right here?
No, just down a little bit. Right there. Here? Is that not where we saw that steam or smoke or something coming from?
It is. And I got a little video of that too.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah. It's this right here.
Oh, okay. That's where it's coming from. All right.
Yeah, it's right there. And it's kind of steaming. I got a little video of it because it was kind of weird. And I really had to take a second and a third look at it to see just exactly what it was. But here again, you see this, and this is the golden egg would come around somewhere like that. And they're down here in the bottom of it, roughly making their boreholes down here. Every 5 feet, because as Seth was saying, that drill will walk as it goes down. Whenever it hits something hard, it might veer off into different directions as it goes down. And they gyro that every 10 feet. So that's where you see those little circles every 10 feet. I know we talked about this before. Here I'm doing a repeat. But that's how that works. Now, they do it every 5 feet because they want to be able to time to drink. Because they want to be able to not leave any spot not drilled. I mean, where could they? And you heard Terry say something about the treasure chest. We want to be able to hit that treasure chest no matter where they may be hiding down there. So that's why they do that. And so I wanted to show this picture too. Like I said, I do have a little video of that. And again, they hit another spot where it seems like water pressure is blowing up out of there, but yet the sample from EN13
14 came up empty.
Hmm.
And one thing that I was concerned, I made me think last night as I was watching this, and maybe you can help me out, Tom or Seth or anyone in the chat. But when they drill down, they take water samples from just about every borehole. But yet, when we see what they're bringing up in the core samples, they hadn't never hit any spaces or anywhere where water, in my opinion, would have been. It was all clay. It was all dirt. There was no void area. So
I think any place there you drill down 100 feet and you take it out and you leave a void, it's going to fill full of water.
yes,
Just from natural groundwater.
yeah, that's true. It would, wouldn't it? Okay.
I mean, but to Jeff's point, so Jeff, you're saying like every time they get the water sample, it looks like water rather than all the like sludge and stuff that would fill it up.
Yeah, very clear.
So why, are they specifically pulling samples up from cavities then? Where for some reason all that sludge isn't getting in? Or do they, is their sampler able to filter that out somehow and just get the water?
Yeah,
I think they probably wait a day for it to settle. I don't know if they're taking it right at that time.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you saw that last week when we were talking about Ian Spooner, and when he put that when he put that down there, and then he brought it back up, and he said he was showing the bottle that was taken from Avante, and it had, he said it was cloudy, it was dark or orangey colored, and that was because right after that collapse that he heard, and then it stirred everything up. He said he took that water sample right after it. So I don't know, but some of these holes, when they drill down, they don't hit water. They're pulling up clay. And he said, oh, nope, it's firm, nothing there.
It could be there are some dry holes too.
Dry holes would have to be a dry hole, in my opinion. Anyway, I know I was a little confused on that, but here again, this one here, and I don't know which one that is, and this may be just the water that they're pumping in there, but they are using water as a lubricant exactly to drill the holes. Yeah, that fall. Yeah, so like this one here, I mean, they use that water from Billy's truck. You can see it right there in the corner of the picture on the edge. That's how they use the sonic drill. Yeah. And that's why they get this here a lot of times. But sometimes the water blows up out of that hole from a pressurized space underneath the ground that they punctured. And I thought that's what was going on in this picture. Just like somebody said in the chat, might get wet. Might get wet. So anyway, so I put that in there just because of that. Then that one came up empty. So Ian 14 came up empty. Go ahead.
Someone in the chat asked if the golden egg is where that tunnel system is, and I think it was Arthur. But I thought that too, where that one guy that showed us the underground scans that they did, and there was like the little loop roundabout tunnel that went nowhere. I feel like that's the golden egg in my mind, where that round. Do you know what roundabout tunnel I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, those one you thought that they had built. It's built like a spiral, like a staircase.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, it could be.
So I feel like where they drilled just now, we're talking about is right in the middle of that. So what they need to do is get more on the outskirts when that little spiral was. I don't know.
Yeah. And I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean this has to be the one they talked about either. This could be a separate one.
Right.
Yeah. And then in addition to somebody else was talking about, like, my mind is blown by the fact that they're even able to pinpoint specific spots where they're picking up those concentrations of metals, because it's like Swiss cheese with the drilling program. And then you just have all those natural, I don't know if they're caves. Are they caves, you guys? Like, are they just?
I think there's caves, caverns.
Open caverns.
That whole system all the way up to Smith's Cove. It blows my mind that, Dr. Spooner and his associate, I always forget his name. I apologize.
Dr. Michaels?
Yes. Yeah. They must, to have the confidence that they have. I never hear a scientist say we're almost certain. That's like saying, that would be like me being like, guys, there's gold down there. I'm positive.
Yeah.
Because
I think
scientists will never say that. That's as close as we can get to. And so I'm just impressed. I don't get it, but I'm glad they do.
Yeah, me too. And that was something that we really talked to Ian about, Ian and Matt Lukeman, because, how and they are so adamant about the fact that they are getting these concentrations of that in the water, but now some of them are kind of going away. Some of those concentrations are, because they talked about one of them in here that was, he said in July, and I kind of pointed some of that out here, and I know Jan had it in her notes as well, that in July, DN12 gave them one of the highest silver values at 0.7. And he feels like there's a tunnel or a shaft down there. So, and I think, if you look at and here they are in this war room, but see DN, which one was that again? That was DN12, which is right here. Now that is in that 95-foot tunnel that they were chasing right here.
Yep. So
that's DN12, and these are the lines that they are supposed of where the 95-foot tunnel is. So if I do think that there would be an open cavity there, and it's going to be full of water. And I think that's where the water came from that flooded the garden shaft when they poked into it. And so, it makes sense that there would be, if they got metals in that water, and that's right on that's in the three corners of just about everything right there. That's in the golden egg. It's in the baby blob. And it's in the tunnel, and it's within the pie area. So, I mean, you're getting the trifecta there of spots. But I don't know if I think if that tunnel is connected to the original money pit, then that's where your metals are coming from. The precious metals.
I wonder what the yellow circles mean.
Right.
Oh, here?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, what can the walking tell them? If they notice, okay, every time we're drilling along this tunnel, we get pushed this way or that way at the same foot, level. I'm sure they can extrapolate or, stuff from that. Because I look at this and I'm like, somebody could look at this and probably explain why one walked short, one walked super long. It's so interesting.
I noticed that some of them have an orange circle, like this one here has an orange. This one has orange. This one has orange. This one has yellow and orange. So does this. And this is orange and yellow are in different places. I don't know. You're going to have to get Ian on the horn and ask him what that means. Yeah, and this one has orange right in the middle. But
I would watch a show just of them interviewing all of the drill program guys that have been on the island over the years, just because that's a whole other side of knowledge that they
absolutely
could share.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They talk about Mike from Choice Drilling. He's the one usually running the levers and controls on the sonic drill rig. And when he comes over and says, "Okay, this one was a little soft," and they trust his opinion on that. Even though they come over and then Terry's digging into the clay and he's not finding it being all that soft. The drill still seemed to go through it rather easily.
Yeah.
And they trust his opinion on it. He's been doing this for, how long has he been doing it for Choice on the island alone?
Correct. Right.
Choice wasn't out there at the beginning in like season 1, 2, or 3. I don't forget when they came on scene, but somebody in the chat probably knows that, but it's been Mike all the time. So, but there you go. So you've got some different ones here. And again, there's some writing on some of the stuff that's pretty interesting. We read about this one here last time. But this map is pretty interesting. I like this one here. Water pouring out of the ground while drilling borehole F.5 N11.
Which is right by the baby blob.
Yeah, right here. So F.5 N-11 was right here, and water was pouring out over here when that was happening. So they were forcing it back up somewhere else. But we have not yet seen them work in this area of the golden egg yet. They've been staying down here at the bottom. Now they're going to be working up into the EN14 was the second one.
This is like the most epic game of Battleship.
Yeah.
Right? All right, we're going to drill here. No Battleship. Done.
EN14, miss. Yeah. That's great. I like that. I like that analogy. So a couple of the ones that Fred Michaels was pointing out was B.5N11, which is down here in the bottom. And also this one up here, GN 10.5. And these were boreholes where they were getting the largest concentrations now of gold and silver. And they're both basically within the Baby Blob area.
Yep.
I don't know. It's one of these things that, and they got to poke it. They got to poke so many Swiss cheese holes into this thing to find it. But,
because the money pit now, finding 2 and 2A, whatever you want to call them, the money pit seems to be back on the move again.
Yeah. Yep.
Maybe they should call it the moving pit.
The moving pit. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, so here we go. We're going to find out, as they go along. I want to see them get up into these areas up here, up a little bit more to the north, in the Golden Egg up there. FN 14, I think, is next week. They're going to be doing that one. And then this F.5N 15 is going to be next week. All these are going to be coming up in the next few weeks. And I really want to see what they find. That's kind of the area where I had my interest in of what was up in that area, because that's where going up. It was underneath a hill, that hillside that was behind to the northwest of the garden shaft. So I'm really curious about those spots. We'll see. We'll see what they find. Okay. I wanted to show this video real quick too, and this was just a little quick video, and Tom had pointed this out to me. I hadn't noticed it the first time. If I can get this thing to work, why is it not working? Oh, there it is.
I like Renee's question. Sorry, I was reading the chat. She asked about the taking the samples, if time of day would matter. Like, yeah, here you go.
Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah, and then you got rainfall.
Okay. I don't know why it's not working.
I would think that they would try and keep them as consistent as possible because they know there's salt water down there. But that's a good question. I have to write that down for Dr. Spiller.
Well, this little video is not working for some reason.
And then Zane had some good speculation on what the color. There you go. Linda's ahead of me.
I feel like the coloring on the snakes might represent the level at which the water was tested and
test results. Yep.
Maybe color means gold. So yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. That's a good analogy. Could very well be.
Huh. It's got to be representative of something. I mean, you just don't.
Yeah.
That's going to take someone to actually point, shoot, and click, right, to change that color. So.
Yeah. Exactly. Yep. Okay. Well, that video is not working for some reason. It's just giving me the circle going around and around and around. But what I did, it was showing that spray. I'm going to bring it up in this picture here. Whoops. And what it was, and I think it's a garden hose, and I think it's water.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, they're trying to keep the ground from being too dusty.
Yeah, and it was this right here. You can see this shooting up, and Tom had picked this up. It looked like a mist until I really watched it, and then you can see this shooting up here, but you can also see this hose running along the ground all the way over there.
Yep, keep the dust down.
Yeah, I think it's keeping the dust down for a really dusty day. So, yeah, but it really looked weird. Like, what's coming out of the money?
Right.
When you look at it from the other angle, from the distance, and a still shot, it almost looked like smoke or
it did
mist or something.
It really did, and on the video, it does. That's why I kind of wanted to show the video because it does. It looks like some kind of a smoke or a mist is coming out of the money pit. So. It was like
Old Faithful.
Yeah, Old Faithful happening over there. All right. Well, here comes the next portion of the episode where, and you've heard this from last week, where they were talking about an expedition. Usually they don't do them this early in the year, but they were heading up to Newfoundland, to Lanso Meadows, to take a look at. And this is, and again, I think Marty confirmed it while he was there talking to the one historian, and I'll have her name up here in just a second, but talking about that this is the first and only confirmed Viking settlement in North America.
Correct.
was in L'Anse Meadows, and it's the only one to this date. But I'm going to say
so far, yeah.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to say so far. Hang on to your hat because I think there's going to be more. Tom and I, well, we need to do some research. Tom, you and I, or whoever else wants to join us. Here's that. What this is talk about desolate land. I've never been to Newfoundland, but is it all like this?
It's not the end of the world, but you can see it from there.
No trees, hardly any vegetation. It's like
that's pretty desolate country. That's pretty desolate country. You're in the far north tip of the island of Newfoundland. Like Newfoundland, Labrador is all one province, but you're on the island of Newfoundland, and that's as far north as you go, and that's a pretty desolate piece of real estate.
Yeah, I'm like I need a few trees around, some bushes, something. I mean, you're talking nothing there. Okay, so it looked like it was, I don't know what time of year this was, probably June. We're assuming probably somewhere around in June. And, Doug, he doesn't care. He's, short sleeve shirt, I don't.
Everybody else is dressed.
Emma. Now, Emma's dressed the way I would be dressed if I was.
Now, keep in mind, that's the North Atlantic Ocean that's surrounding them up there. That water is cold. Like it's never going to get warm up there. That water acts like a massive air conditioner.
Yeah. I'd be wearing a heavy coat and a toque and everything, Yeah, I'd be dressed up, to stay warm. But yeah, so Emma was, and there's Loretta right there, a National Historic Site and Visitor Experience Manager. And she knows her stuff up there, obviously. So this is what they said: 625 miles from Oak Island, to get up there. Now, and you. Southern Newfoundland is heavily wooded. Okay.
Yeah.
Entire middle
southern part of Newfoundland would be what they call moose country. Yeah.
Okay. Got to drive around to get across the island, not straight across. Oh
no, it would be a major drive up there. It would be a 2-day drive to go across the province.
Wow. Because you got to go around.
Yeah, it's desolate. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to go there. I really do. I'd love to go check it out someday. And then we had archaeologist Kevin Smith was up there as well. And Doug is walking around like it's Florida. Yeah, exactly, Robert. Yeah. There's always that guy, that's out there jogging with the
the one cool guy.
Shorts and a t-shirt, and he's out there jogging and it's snowing and everything, and it's
I used to drive me crazy. There'd be that one guy, oh, the cold doesn't bother me, I'm from where it's cold. And I'm thinking, I'm from Texas where it's hot and the heat bothers me, so
yeah, exactly. Yep. So there's Loretta and then Kevin Smith, those two that were there and taking them around and showing them everything. Obviously, there is other spots because you can see this one here that they did not rebuild. With the foundations are underground.
They said it was eight buildings, 8 structures in total that they'd found.
8 structures, yeah.
So I don't know if that's a recreation over there, if they actually built on the actual site or not.
Yeah, I don't know. You've got this one over here. You can see off in the distance. And of course this one, and then this one right here in the front.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, pretty obvious that something's going on there. And so, it's not that far away. And as we were kind of, going through some of this stuff on the show last night, it's really not that far away. And then you have New Brunswick, Nova Scotia right here. And there was some, then we got into the one thing that I caught on this, because they're going up there, they're looking for some sort of tie, some sort of proof, something that they can bring back to Nova Scotia to say, okay, it is very likely that they were here. And could it be a plant? As something as simple as a plant that is a tie for all of this? That ties everything together? Butternuts? Have you ever had a butternut? I've never had a.
I've never seen one. And they're supposedly pretty, at the western central part of New Brunswick, which I lived in for years, and I've never seen one. So they must be really hard to see. They get to be a big tree, from what I understand. But
what's good about a butternut?
I've never seen one.
I mean,
I think they're just like any other nut. You crack the shell off them, and in the center is very nutritious.
Yeah. So, has anybody in the chat? Have you ever had? I have never seen one either. And a cat. Has anybody ever had one? Eaten the nut or anything? Has anybody?
It's not butternut squash, right? That's a
No, it's different.
Squash would be
that's
different.
A vegetable,
Yeah.
That's a vegetable grows on the ground. Yeah.
Actual nuts. Huh.
Better than walnut. Okay, Lisa Bates says better than walnut.
Really?
I have seen butternut trees in Ontario, Linda.
Yep. Southern Ontario is. We did some kicking around today to see where the heck these trees grow. And southeastern Ontario and Quebec is very, very populated with them, from what we can tell.
It's a species of walnut. That was Karen.
Planted them. The dang deer ate them. Deer eat everything. They're like rats with horns.
Somebody said I climbed a butternut tree in St. Martin's. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Another connection to Oak Island. Yep.
Jan says walnut that has a buttery flavor. Never had one. Oh, okay.
See, that sounds good.
Never heard of them until now. Warren says, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I never I've heard of them, but I had no idea what it was. Commonly known as butternut or white walnut, this is a species of walnut native to the eastern United States, southeast Canada. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, and she gave the name, the official name of them, I guess, right?
Generic name.
Oh, Carolyn Anderson had an interesting.
No, not Butterfinger, Sharon Edwards, butternut. And this was kind of cool because, and Tom shared this with us, talking about the common native trees of Nova Scotia.
Well, they started talking about these butternut last night, and I've heard of them, but I've never seen one. So I said, well, if they're going to try and draw some sort of correlation between, the meadow in Nova Scotia with the butternut, I want to know more about them. So I just went on and started Googling.
Yeah, interesting. Carolyn we had the note up. Butternuts were used for dye. Some of the Southerners during the Civil War were called butternuts.
It's funny.
It is. This map here, this is one that Tom sent over to me again. And these represented what again, Tom?
This is what I was trying to determine is I'm kind of torn between the Nova Scotia Vikings and the New Brunswick Vikings. But so what I was trying to do was draw a correlation between how densely populated is the province of New Brunswick with butternut trees compared to Nova Scotia. So this is an example of a survey that was done in, I think, I don't know if the dates on it or not. I think it's around 2017-ish in that area, showing where butternut trees were located in Nova Scotia.
Chester, you got
and
Chester.
The critical thing for me is to show that there was Chester, Lunenburg, Peggy's Cove. So in that general area, there were butternut trees, or there
a couple islands
still are to this day.
Yep. Well, there you go. Butternuts. Who would have thunk it? And here's another one, New Brunswick. And what was you were talking about the rivers here?
Okay, so the area circled in white would be where the highest density of butternut trees would be in between New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. So if you're looking at the two sets of arrows, the top right set of arrows is what we would call the Miramichi River, which is in that general circle of flow that they show for the current for the Vikings coming down towards Nova Scotia. That Miramichi River will take you right into that area. So that would be what the indigenous people, the Mi'kmaq and the Wolastoq, would have used for a highway. The bottom set is if you had gone to Nova Scotia first and gone around the bottom of Nova Scotia up into the Bay of Fundy, you would hit the St. John River, which is also it runs right to the north, as far north in the province as you can go. And it would have been another major highway for the native people to use. Absolutely. So if you were going to trade or transport any volume of those butternuts from New Brunswick anywheres, those are the two rivers you'd use, the Miramichi River and the St. John River. And the St. John River was discovered by Champlain. So there you go, Jake Roberts.
Yep. And this was just another map showing some of the light green of the butternut.
The light green would be the most populous areas. Yeah.
Yep. All the way down into Ontario down here.
Yeah. Southern Ontario and southern Quebec. Yeah. And again, it's not showing, and into Maine too, and some of those northeastern United States. It's just not showing the states. So that's just a Canada only map.
Yep. Exactly. And then they met up with Mark. I forget what did they call his name when
oh my goodness, yeah.
The lady, I don't know.
Ragnar.
Ragnar. Yeah, Ragnar.
He kind of looks like a Viking,
I'm Ragnar. Also Mark.
Yeah, also known as Mark.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's been working there for quite a while, so he knows
25 seasons.
Yeah, 25 seasons. Oh my gosh, right? And they showed him the arrowhead that they had from, and this would belong to a guy, and I don't remember the gentleman's name, but he had showed it to the team. And occasionally, that when they went to,
he supposedly got that from Dunfield, didn't he?
yes,
Yeah.
well, Dunfield to his dad, and then to him, or something like
or
that.
in that, yeah,
1965, I think they said, something like that. It was found, so they took it up to this guy and they showed him because to see if but he brought up a particular kind of ore that I didn't know anything about. He called it bog ore, and so they've got a sample of this bog ore that they're going to bring back, and Emma is going to be scanning it, and she's going to find out its property, its makeup of it, and see how it compares to maybe that bog ore. Yeah, how its makeup has anything to do with that arrowhead. That would be interesting to be able to tie that together, wouldn't it? Yeah, I know. Did you see that? Yeah, as soon as they handed it out to everybody, Emma come right up, man. She was smelling it to see what she could pick up on that.
Right, it's an archaeologist thing.
At least she didn't taste it, didn't lick it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
She should give the tongue test.
Yeah, the tongue test, exactly. These two maps here, again, we're showing the possible route. And as Tom was saying earlier, if you come down into this area here, and then it's you've got the rivers that he was referring to. And I'll jump over to the next picture.
The other thing curious about that too is I wonder, because I mean, the Meadows was supposedly a base camp, right? So it's a place to gather and keep things, or to explore from. I often wondered if they were chasing the Atlantic salmon. But that's the migration of Greenland down around Newfoundland over into the Bay of Fundy, over down that strait around Nova Scotia. The rivers would have been just teeming with salmon in the fall, and that's when you pick butternuts in the fall.
Oh wow! So wow, that
if you were going to trade with the natives, with the Woolastoqey or the Mi'kmaq, you would be there in the fall for the salmon runs, and the butternut would be picked at the same time, late summer, early fall.
You are here, Doug.
Hey, Doug.
Are we all here?
Are we all here? Is everyone here? If you're not here, raise your hand.
Raise your hand.
So yeah, very interesting about that. And I had no idea about the salmon and how because that you're right. They would be chasing the salmon, would they not? So is it, and this is why I was saying in there about and I put this in the description talking about, is this proof that the butternut, is this proof to say that they were down further south into Canada than just, Lawrence Meadows?
Well,
what it proves is somebody from that area had to have gone to the Meadows.
Yeah. Either they had contact with somebody that had. So again, you're obviously exchanging goods. You would also exchange information. And you're telling me, if I told a bunch of Vikings about this great area with, like Tom's describing, with the salmon, they're not going to send an exploratory ship. Oh, our friend told us. So whether or not they went and got the butternuts themselves, like Tom was saying, it suggests the connection, the word of mouth, they're trading with the people there.
Yep. Take some beads with it when you go, guys. Bring us back some butternut.
Yep. Yeah. Something to trade with them during this, So, but either way you look at it, it with them being that close. And I think that, was it Emiliano that mentioned it last week and talking about, they were there for some 300-400 years and they didn't go anywhere else. That's as farthest they went.
And the fact that they described it as a base camp.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
And she said
it's only a base camp if you explore from it.
Exactly. And I feel like they would have to have some sort of escape plan, or, if this location doesn't work out and we can't get back home, we've got to know how to survive here. I feel like they would have other spots in mind of, okay, if stuff goes wrong, we'll meet up here, or I don't know, or as we explore, we have another little mini base point, camp along the way,
and not that far away.
So I'd be really interested in LiDAR, seeing what LiDAR they've done to find these settlements. Because it's like in Amazon, where they say, oh, there's only this many buildings, and then they do LiDAR and they're like, wow, we've got we were wrong.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you would think that a rendezvous point. Tea Lady said, yeah. You would know that it's not that far away. You could explore and come back to that point at least, in inclement weather or something happening. But very, very interesting. And I would have to think that they went further south. I think that as time goes along here, we're going to get evidence of them further south without a doubt. It just needs to be.
I mean, they came from the north. They came from Iceland down around the coast of Labrador and over to Newfoundland, right? So they're not going north. You're not, if you're going to have a base camp, you're going south. You already know what the north looks like.
Yeah, hop. Yeah, they brought up hop.
Yeah.
Thank you, Zane, for reminding me on that. But yeah, they brought up hop. So hop was supposedly the winter, or the winter camp or something, or
no, hop was supposedly another settlement in addition to the meadows.
Right. So where was hop? But it was supposed to be further south.
Correct.
So could it have been in New Brunswick? Tom, we've got to do some explorations.
Yep.
And it always seems to me, and that the Viking settlements that they find like this are generally near the water. They're not like deep inland.
No, they traveled along the coast. They traveled by ship, by boat. That was
so they built.
There were no roads.
Right.
You travel by highway. The highway being the river.
Right.
But I feel like that's part of what makes the meadows such a good base camp too. You don't have any woods. Anybody coming at you, you're going to see for miles.
It's pretty wide open.
And they have found Viking things inland. No one is brave enough to confirm those things. Impossible, they say. Yeah. Well, I agree. I think that they have, and I think it's only a matter of time before we start to find more. And that's what I was saying about New Brunswick. Up along this area that's showing here, I think it needs to be explored. I see if there's
the meadows. The meadows that was, I guess, negotiable or a topic of hot discussion for years before they finally said, okay, we've seen enough.
Yep.
800 artifacts. I guess we've got enough proof.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So, all right. Well, more to come on that, I think, so Doug Simmons, with the Viking thing, and, you look at and they also mentioned about them becoming Christians. I mean, there's been that all that talk about that.
The religious connection there for sure, without a doubt. No, I'm not really up to speed on all that religious connection, but yeah, the connection to the Pope, the Vikings, the travel to Rome. I mean, if anybody knows anything out there, speak up.
Yeah, they met the Pope. If they met the Pope, then they had to have been in some way connected with the Templar Knights, and so that information, if they became Christians, why would they not want to pass on their exploration information to the Pope?
Didn't Emperor Constantine have like a special guard of Vikings? I feel like I read that somewhere. I don't know if they were Vikings or Norse, but yeah. So I know they were in Constantinople.
We do have a couple of theorists in the chat, so maybe one of them will pop in and say something on that.
Yeah, I don't know if it might be a different group. It might have just been Norse people.
Well, they talked about helping with the Crusades. At least, some of the Crusades are part of it. So.
What
did Doug say there?
Varangians? Oh, yeah. I feel like that looks familiar, and I probably mispronounced it. Yeah, I feel like Louis L'Amour, great Western writer, he had a book called The Walking Drum, where he departed from his Western writing and wrote about Europe in the 1200s, and this guy ends up in Constantinople, and I feel like ran into some Norse or Vikings at the time. That was the first place I'd ever heard of it.
He's tying it together too. So yeah, so we need to really explore this, and I think that Doug may be right on the money with all of this stuff. So there you go. I think it's definitely, I mean, and they say it all the time, the whole thing with Columbus discovering America, that's been thrown out the window long ago. But we need to find out. Do we need to find out who was here first? I think we do. I'd like to know who all.
I'd like to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Besides the indigenous peoples, of course, that we know were here first.
Yeah, they had they had everybody beat by about 8,000 or 10,000 years. So
right. Those coming over from Europe and all that.
Trust me, they were first.
Yeah.
Is that why they call themselves First Nations people?
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. 5 butternuts for Jeff. Thank you.
I feel like I just made that connection. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's just keep motoring on so we can get over to the tails as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Next, we jump back over to lot number 4, which apparently was a dump station for lot 5 and the explorations or the archaeology work that's going on over in lot 5. You got Gary and Peter heading over to do some metal detecting on this area. Now, I have to say before we get into this, I'm a little confused. And it might have to wait until we get Laird back on the show so we can ask him about it. But they said that these guys are going through the spoils of lot 5. I thought, and this is my ignorance on this whole thing here, that I thought that the spoils from lot 5 were being all put into buckets by, Fiona and Jamie and all those folks and dumped into the sifter. And then that dirt was piled somewhere. But they're finding coins, and a coin would not have been missed.
What amazed me was it doesn't look like they're being overly delicate when they spread that stuff.
No.
It looks like it was spread with a tractor.
Yes. Yes, it was. It was probably piled up, and then they went back over it later on and spread it out with a tractor.
I had the same question, unless there was some earthen mounds around there or something that they had just scooped up to get out of the way to clear the land. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's certainly not, the trowel and paintbrush stuff that we're used to seeing.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, Jan. Spoils from lot 5, the previous season specifically.
Yes, definitely.
I think you're right. Yeah. Yeah.
Before it was declared a special place.
Not at first. They just dug lot 5 originally. So yeah, probably so. That original to open up when they took the stones out of there and they started digging down.
Yeah, that's true.
Remember when Marty was over there with the excavator pulling out some of the bigger stones or moving them out of the way? So yeah, okay, I can see that. But I'm thinking, man, they missed a lot because they've already found evidence of that copper
loose change.
Yeah, loose change. And then that copper coin.
If they keep this up, they're going to need coin rollers.
They're finding a lot. I mean, the Roman coins and now these, we don't know what they are yet. They obviously didn't take them over to the lab and go through them, but with the patina and the green tint to them, Gary popped up right away and said that they're copper. So
that looks like a quarter.
Big copper pennies.
A special place is a place that's been is a designated archaeological location that is deemed to be of historical significance. So you could go find a place and dig around. You don't find anything, well, no big deal. But once they find it, they have to report it. And depending on what they find, it can be designated an archaeological special place, which means from there on out, there's nobody going to be digging anything unless it's under the supervision of an archaeologist.
There you go.
Nope, good. Back again?
Yeah, you're back. Yep. Thank you. And that's very important. And we talked about the fines. If you break the permitting process there's hefty fines. So
$10,000 for a person, $100,000 up to $10,000 for a person, up to $100,000 for a corporation. And someone asked me last week, they sent me a message. They said, well, has anybody ever been charged? I said, not that I know of. So I guess it's working.
It must be working. Yeah, exactly. So, and then we jump over to lot 5. They take a jump over here, and you got Emiliano and everyone over there taking a look after they got back from Lonsa Meadows, and standing around with their arms crossed. That means they need a shovel. But they're all taking a look at this, and again, we're seeing this slowly develop. Lot 5 is slowly taking shape a little bit better for us. You see the two new guys. I've forgotten their names. Sorry, guys. But they said when Laird pointed over there, he said something about soot or finding.
They found a fire pit. Yeah.
A fire pit of some sort or something over there. Yeah.
Yeah. They figure out that they had a blacksmith there.
A blacksmith. So what does that mean for this whole spot? I don't think we can even come to a partial conclusion yet. Burnt ground. Thank you, Zeg. That we can come to any kind of a conclusion as to what this building was. Maybe, multi-purpose building, but maybe also, as we said before, Test Pit 20. maybe multi-generational use of the same spot over time. I don't know. Yeah, uncover it all first, then we'll guess, says Coach. Yeah, exactly. Could be a cooking pit.
I would say they still got more work to do there.
Oh, absolutely. This I got a feeling Lot 5 is going to go on for a long time. You know, the rest of the island could be solved, and they're still going to be digging up Lot 5. But now that we have the tie-in between Lot 5, the Nolan's Cross, and deep in the Money Pit, you know, it's all part of the same group of people, at least in some respect, through the ages.
Yeah, for some reason, just to Doug's comment there, for some reason, I think Laird used the comment that he thought there was a forge there. Isn't that what he said? He was pretty specific. So I'm thinking there's something archaeological here that we haven't seen that's leading in that direction.
We know they would have had to have had some sort of forge somewhere, right? Like to do this sort of work, they are going to have tools breaking, and they need to be able to fix it on the spot. So
someone's got to make the ox shoes.
Yeah, exactly, that too. We found so many.
We keep losing them.
Lots of ox shoes. Absolutely. This is an earlier picture. I think this is earlier in the season. This one was, and I just grabbed it because it was one showing the stairs.
Yeah.
And I was really curious about that. You can actually see that. We kind of mentioned that last week, talking about the stairs and how the loose material, I think that they figured it was stairs because of the loose material that was on top. It came off easy, and now they hit the compacted dirt, and it looked like it formed stairs. So, again, that's something that Laird would have to verify.
I just can't get over the way they constructed these little compartments.
They're very small. Yeah. Storage? I don't know.
It's got to be, in my opinion, it's got to be some kind of.
This is the biggest room is right here in the middle. The rest of the stuff is, I think that this might have been a cook area. This kind of, to me personally, looks like a cook area. This this spot right here.
Could be.
But who knows? I mean, a smokehouse, maybe. Yeah. Could be. I don't know.
I like the multi-generational. I think also would suggest multi-use, different repurposing. So I kind of like that because to me, a lot of it makes sense. Emiliano saying a place of worship, for me, it clicked because I felt like, man, why haven't we found a place of worship yet? These guys were doing huge, things that are very significant to their religious and spiritual beliefs. Of course, they would be worshiping while they're there. And just today, I was visiting with family, and one of my uncles, who's a big hunter, he'll go out for 2 weeks in the backwoods of Colorado, and he's Catholic. And he said that their priest comes with them, and when their priest comes, he sets up in their tent on Sunday, and they do like mass and stuff. So even in today, when Catholics like my uncle are out in the woods for 2 weeks and they got a priest with them, they're going to worship. So why wouldn't these guys, especially if they're Templars and devoutly religious, why wouldn't they be worshiping?
At least devote some section of it.
Exactly. Yeah, there would have to be, right? And it kind of blew my mind that, like, I don't know if anybody else has ever suggested it or Emiliano was the first.
I mean, you go look at in South America at the Inca settlements or whatever, they had their own buildings, and then they had, special, areas for worship.
So the worship thing for me, I liked that idea, but I saw Maya's comment of how the artifacts they're finding doesn't line up with that, and that's a good point too.
Well, like the gentleman said, like Emilio said, he said we're not to that point yet where I want to make that leap, right? But he said it is a possibility.
Yep.
And Laird didn't rule it out either.
No, yeah. I feel like Laird was like, "That's a good point." Just a chapel in the dwelling. Yeah, it's
yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. I mean, if you don't have a lot of resources and you're not figuring on spending tremendous amount of years there, you're going to break this up. I mean, you're going to be multi-use buildings, I would think anyway. That's kind of what I'm.
Yeah, go back to the 1600s or whatever, 1700s, 1800s. A schoolhouse and a church were the same building.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I wanted to point out before I get too far on this was a few of the points, because some of the people were saying, well, they didn't really, how can you, go by what's found in Lanza Meadows, just by, standing there and looking around. There really wasn't any evidence to say that they were there, that the Vikings were there. And I wanted to point out there was actually several key points. The butternuts were found there. It was a wintering camp. It was a base camp. 800 artifacts found, over 800 artifacts.
and a hop camp to the south. I mean, they found a lot of information out while they were there. So it was a good trip. It's not, and I think that every time they make these trips someplace, they come back with good information.
And it's information for us too. They're doing this trip for us as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
To show us where their search is going, where it's taking them.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think so. So anyway, I wanted to bring that up too, because it was, again, a lot of folks walked away with this saying that it was a wasted trip. They didn't really do anything. They didn't find anything, but yet in the end, I think they really did. And I'm glad that they do, go to the extent of making these trips. Cause like Tom said, it helps us out. They may have spent a couple of days. Yeah. We don't know how long they were there. We have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what they found or left, or who used it before them or after them, or
right. Yep.
Goodness knows.
Just another look at Lot 5 as it's taking shape. And the guys are and the ladies are busy at it. And then that pretty much wrapped up this particular episode. And something I wanted to show, I love when they show next time, and kind of blurry there. I caught that one as it was zooming off the screen. And some of the pictures they go through these things so quickly that they're trying to stop somebody like me from getting good screenshots. The drill program continuing on, they're finding it looks like they're going to be hitting a spot. He was talking about that one right there in the corner. That was the 15. No, I'm sorry. DN12. He's pointing at DN12 right there. That's the one right down there in the corner. And he's pointing and talking about that one. And this is something that I've been waiting for. This is a look at the map that was hand drawn by the Restalls, correct?
Yep.
On this one. And they were talking about the drains converge here. And so we had seen through some of the pictures that were shared by folks that were taking Tony Sampson's Salty Dog Sea Tours and Colin out in his own boat. Of them, when they were digging deep in Smith's Cove again, and what they might find. So I've been waiting for this. I was hoping it wasn't going to be late in the season, but it looks like we're going to get it pretty quickly here next week. And there you see Rick, and they're right down there in Smith's Cove. There's the water right behind him. Hard to tell in this picture. Because like I said, it's blurry because it goes by so fast. And
but he's inside the protective erosion barrier.
Yeah, they put that erosion barrier up. And they found concrete. Quite a big chunk of it. What do you make about this, the concrete? I mean, and it doesn't look like it's modern concrete.
Right.
And it kind of looks like some of what they found in the Lot 5, the chunks that they found in Lot 5.
That's what it reminded me of. But
so folks in the chat, what do you think about the concrete that they're going to find? We'll find out more about it next week, obviously, but
I hope it came from an area, and I don't think it's possible, but I hope it came from an area of Smith's Cove that wasn't dug up, destroyed, and replaced by people like Dunfield.
Yeah.
Or even the Lagunitas when they dug it up, right? Who knows what they dug up and moved and shifted.
Yeah.
And, hopefully it's sort of outside that area where they had the platform set up for the crane that was driving the pylons. It's back in that sort of undisturbed area, which would make it really important then, in my opinion.
Zombie driver. Solid evidence for sure. Well, it's pretty solid. That's for sure.
Concrete evidence.
Concrete evidence. There you go. Yeah. So anyway, just kind of interesting. Did it have to do with the flood tunnels?
Right. What would they use it for, Coach? That's what Coach asked, and I kind of agree with them. Like, how would that? I wonder what.
Yeah. Well, there was the Becker drill program, 1967, brought up concrete from, I'm going to guess at the depth over 100 feet in the Money Pit area. That was tested by Canada Concrete and deemed to be the same mixture that what they think would be Romans would have used.
Yes. Concrete. Don't forget that point.
So is it new, modern, old? Who put it
and
there?
Who would have known about the Romans concrete and being able to replicate it again?
Yeah.
Who would know about that? Templars, maybe? Vikings, maybe? I don't know.
Somebody knew.
Hey, there you go. So you can't rule out a chunk of concrete being there and not knowing what it was for. So we'll find out.
This was another little doodad that was brought up. A quick picture of this thing was shown on it. And, it's kind of funny because the one that was on the back of the episode last night, I watched on the History Channel today and watching it again. And they showed another picture of this because we were looking at this. And what was the thing they said about the gold? A connection? What?
I forget the wording. Was some kind of connection to gold. I don't know.
Well, if it's not gold, what would it have how could it have a connect? I don't know, a connection to gold or something. But they did show another picture of it because everybody was trying to figure out what this was. And the other picture clearly shows what it was. The button. A button.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a button of sorts.
I have no idea.
Gold plated or something? We have no idea. I doubt it was gold plated.
I mean, they found that button on Ball Plantation that indicated what level of officer, what rank, or what position the officer had.
Palladium.
Maybe that's, I don't know. They can identify it being some kind of an officer or something who would be in charge of stores or requisitions or goodness knows. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, how are you going to draw a dotted line from that to, like chest full of gold is beyond me.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's true, Renee. They didn't address the hollow bit in lot 5 from last week. You're right. They didn't. When Laird was tapping on it, it did sound like it was hollow. They didn't.
Oh, yeah.
We never got anything more on that. Don't forget that question, Renee, because when we get Laird on the show, he's supposed to be coming on soon. They're trying to work that out. He's a busy man these days when the show's not going.
Zig had a good point, or Zane had a good point too, about how they haven't, and I didn't realize this, they haven't given us the orientation of the structures either. So who knows what they're facing?
All right, that's true.
Oh, right, yeah, I see what you mean now. Yeah,
yeah. I thought, he's right. Right, at least I haven't caught it.
All right. Well, we'll see what comes up for next week. And before we jump into Tales from Oak Island, we're going to do our giveaway. And we're going to bring Linda up here. And I'm going to show you the picture of what we have for the giveaway today. Hi, Linda.
Hello.
All right. So our giveaway today is, again, this this candle on the left. It was from member Gina Tereso.
Yes.
Oh, I got that one right. And a magnet on the right donated by Michelle Tomeyer.
Yes.
I got it. All right, Michelle. So sorry.
Good job.
All right. That's a little, you can see there that it's got Oak Island and everything. Lost treasure. It's really cool looking. Those are awesome things. So, all right. So now to be eligible for the giveaways, I repeat myself yet again, but so get ready to drink. So for the giveaways, we have a Facebook group page, the Curse of Oak Island and Beyond Skinwalker Ranch. You must be a member of that group. Linda will put up the picture and a post for what the giveaway is of the following week. And all you have to do is comment to that post and say yes. And you are going to be entered into the giveaway. And you must be present at this podcast to win. If your name comes up, we'll give you a minute or so to say you're here. And if you don't, we'll spin again and pick a new winner. We had that happen last week. So,
yep. The other thing I want to point out is that once you win, I need you to not re-enter until the finale.
So I can't.
You do not.
I can't re-enter because I got this cool cup.
How fun is that?
Good to know, Linda. Yeah, I already kind of stopped saying yes because I figured it wouldn't be fair if you win, twice. Yeah. But I can re-enter.
Can I have next week off? Can I have next week off?
Yeah. Week's giveaway is Doug Simmons' book.
Ooh, cool.
Ooh, very cool.
And it's a good book. I have it.
Yes,
me too.
Cool. Yep.
It's been duly marked, highlighted, scribbled on, and tabbed. So
there you go. Only as a good book should be. Mm-hmm. All right. So, Linda, are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
Let's do the good old.
I got to turn the sound up again. I always forget. Okay.
All right. I'm going to put you in solo layout so you can see it. Robert Dean. Is Robert Dean here? I don't know that I've seen
Robert Dean's my buddy from California, and I haven't seen him.
Uh-oh. YouTube user. Hi.
Hello,
Robert. Are you on here as YouTube user?
No, I don't think that's him. No. All right, let us know if you're here, Robert. While we're waiting, I just want to say too that for the I think the live, I was really on the edge about the live or the Tales from Oak Island series, how it was going to be, but so far I'm impressed. I loved last week's. This week's was very good.
Yeah, I thought it might just be like a lot of rehashing everything we've already heard.
Yeah. I was afraid of that too.
It's not. It is a little, but it's not.
Yeah, there is some things that we've already known, but a lot of it is great new information. And now, if you had, and I'll say this before we get started with it, but if you have studied all you can on the internet about Samuel Ball, a lot of what was covered yesterday, you probably know some of that or a lot of it. I did, but yet it covered some things I did not know, and I was really happy for that. So
it gave me some stuff to dig into.
Yeah, if you've read Chip Reed's book about Samuel Ball, Chip was on the show last night, and it's really good, and it has a lot of historical stuff up until the time that he bought on Oak Island. It's everything before that.
All right. I don't see our winner.
Apparently, Robert's not here.
All right.
That wheel.
Spin that wheel again. All right, let's do it again. Yeah, Gina won last week. Wasn't that the one we had last week?
No, Gina donated the candle.
Oh,
but she really wants the magnet.
Oh, okay.
So
all right.
So you could give her the magnet
and then we would spin again. If Gina's
here.
Candle.
Is Gina here? Gina, are you here?
Gina Teresa, where are you? We joked about how funny it would be if she actually
you manifested this.
Yeah, you did. So you shouldn't have thought of it. Then it happened.
She might not be here.
Yeah, she might not be here. We might have to spin yet a third time. We had this happen last year a couple times.
We did a couple of times last year.
I don't
It is indeed serendipity, and I was going to spin again anyway to give away the candle, but okay, too bad, so sad.
All right, let's do it again.
Oops.
Get your spinny finger ready.
Yeah. Can we see it?
Yep, right there. Tilt it down just a little. You can see the name. No.
Forward or backwards? Yeah. There you go.
Mavis,
you out there?
Mavis Grantley, are you here? Oh, Gina's working on turkey prep.
Maybe.
Could be. Mavis. Is Mavis here? Boy, we might have a long night trying to get a winner here. Mavis, speak up if you're here.
Gina just had a family wedding, so maybe she's still recovering.
Oh, could be.
Oh, Mavis, I'm here.
You get it? Oh, there he is. Yep. All right. Mavis is here.
Mavis.
All right.
If you will send me a message with your address, I will get this ready to go out in the mail to you.
All right. Congrats. All right. All right, Mavis. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You guys see that I'm sporting my Mari Vineyards hoodie tonight?
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I love that
Very
place.
Cool.
Got to finish off that other bottle of wine. I don't drink wine much, and now that we started the drinking game for the...
You will.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's jump back into it so we can get through this episode. And again, I thought this was really good. The Legend of Samuel Ball. They were initially, we took some look at the differences of Samuel's
homestead, the foundation of what was there. And they talk about it a couple of times during the episode about how extensive it was, how big it was.
Mm-hmm.
And this goes right along with talking about the wealth of Samuel Ball.
Mm-hmm.
I think just having a house with a basement in it was significant.
Yeah.
Well made too.
Rather
I see a
than
lot
dirt
of
floor or just a log floor.
Yeah. I've seen some frontier structures made, by stacking rocks, and none of them are as stout and solid as that.
Or they would just have rocks for a floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Or dirt. Yeah. And so this was very well built. And Laird talked about that quite a bit as well. There was that particular hole that they showed last night that they were looking for. Remember, they scanned it with the GPR and the ground penetrating radar. They went around and they scanned the whole thing, and then they found like an open tunnel or something underground, and they dug for it. And sure enough, they found it, and this is it down there. It was actually, I think they actually determined later, even though they had they put a drain snake in there and ran it all the way through. I think they determined that this was a drain, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's any question. This is just a normal water drain.
Basement for the basement to drain water out.
Yeah, and if you use it for cold storage in the winter, you put ice in there. They would chop ice and keep ice, in blocks of ice to keep stuff cold over the winter and even well into the summer. And you don't want the water to accumulate. You want the water to drain off when it melts. So,
yep, yeah, that's a good point, Kat. Also, he had outbuildings. It wasn't just the house. Indoor plumbing, maybe. I don't know. Maybe that was indoor plumbing. It could be.
Not enough artifacts down there to be an outhouse.
Yeah. But yeah, so he had a couple of outbuildings too. So yeah, interesting. And then they were trying to tie it in with the well. The well was actually Samuel Ball's property was on lot 25, his first one. And the well was on lot 26. Is that correct? That's correct? Yes.
Yep.
So it it probably wasn't, well, it could have been his well because he did end up with lot 26 eventually. And here's a picture that Tom sent, looking at the differences between lot 5 and the Ball Foundation. And look at that. I mean, that's pretty remarkable difference there. And what did you say Jamie had said, or somebody had said about the lot 5?
Fiona said she described lot 5 as almost being loosely constructed. The way the stones were placed.
Yeah.
Which makes me think they were placed in a hurry, or I don't know.
Yeah. And you look at the Ball property. I mean, these corners are very sharp corners, very well stacked here, very nice
right angles. Yep.
Yeah, nice right angles and nice and flat surface. You got the stairs back here in the back that are actually steps made out of stone versus dirt. This is a well-built foundation for a house. Pretty remarkable.
So to me, that tells me that lot 5 is not anything built in the 1700 era. If it was being built under the same construction techniques, that was built a lot earlier than that.
Yeah, I agree. So, what do you think, Seth?
It's really impressive, the Ball Foundation. And again, did he build that? Did he hire somebody to build that? Where did he learn to build it? During his military service? Was he part of the engineer team? Is that just something he picked up? I don't know.
I don't know.
Man of mystery.
Yes, he is. A cabbage farmer, or so they say.
So they say. You guys blew my mind about the cabbage before we started.
Yeah. He was a woodcutter in the military, as what Linda says. Yeah, it's funny about the cabbages. I think, is Laird on record with that statement that he made?
Absolutely.
About
there's no archaeological evidence to support Samuel Ball being a cabbage farmer on or off of Oak Island.
Thank you.
So where did this come from? Him being a cabbage farmer?
Now, just because there's no archaeological evidence doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Right.
Okay. It just means that there's nothing in the records to support it.
Yep, exactly. So
but they repeat it like it's fact. Oh, cabbage farmer
that's
Samuel
the
Ball.
legend. That's the legend, right?
Right.
You tell a story often enough,
Exactly,
it becomes
the
true.
legend.
Well, it's just like that. It's just like that little lead barter token. They keep calling it a lead barter token when it wasn't. It was actually a toy.
Kid's Wizzy toy or whatever.
Like a wizard or whatever they call those things. Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah. Again,
so
three young boys.
He owned a total of 9 lots.
Mm-hmm.
So 36 acres. He cleared 7 of those, which according to Laird is way more than you would need to support your own sort of family homestead.
Right. Exactly. And we're gonna dive into that a little bit deeper as we go along here. Same as the 3 boys finding the money pit. Exactly. A whirligig. Yeah, the whirligig. So, the narrative is not always. I think that's part of the reason why the guys don't watch the show, because it would probably get them really upset to know that how it's being turned around a little bit. Okay, so if he was, and Cabbage and the one, and I didn't get the guy's name, but the one gentleman that was talking about Samuel Ball, he was a researcher into this, and he had said something about and we had talked about this before, the coleslaw. You're taking cabbage, you turn it into coleslaw, you can transport it that well or
Sauerkraut,
that way.
right?
Sauerkraut, yes. You can transport it that way a lot easier, and all of that, but it was replaced by lemons.
Mm-hmm.
And then limes.
Yeah, because I didn't know that about sauerkraut fighting scurvy. I always thought it was lemons,
Yeah.
Or citrus fruits of some
right.
kind,
citrus fruit,
oranges or something like that, right? I found out that later about the cabbages and sauerkraut. So, yeah, it went to lemons, limes, and all that. Limes were much easier to transport, and I think there was even a thing going on talking about how each man had you were saying something about that, Tom, weren't you?
Okay, so I got curious last night when Laird started talking about how many acres he cleared. The introduction of limes and actually lemons was the first thing that the British used to fight off scurvy. And the fact that in 1795 the British mandated that every person on a ship be given 3/4 of an ounce of lime or lemon juice daily, which tells me that the cabbage market just crashed.
Exactly. Exactly.
So if you only owned 2 lots prior to 1795, why did you need 7 more? To farm something that wasn't needed?
For while your agriculture that you were selling is now not worth as much as it was before.
Some people would say that, well, okay, they needed the cabbage because there was no cabbage local, or no limes or lemons locally. Well, the British were bringing the limes and lemons, it was originally lemons, from the Caribbean. So they were basically picking them up on the way home.
Yeah, exactly.
You and Renee just blew my mind.
Renee, I saw that.
Yeah, lime. That's where they were called limeys. Wow.
Brit sailors.
Yeah, that's why they're called limeys. Yeah.
See, from butternuts to
limey,
sauerkraut and
butternuts
limes
and lemons,
and limeys,
lemonade. Make lemonade.
I don't think I get enough lemon oil or juice.
No.
Do I have scurvy?
What did Sam Ball need all that land for?
Exactly. Yeah. So we're going to get to that. Let me run through this real quick because Sam Ball. Now, this is something that, when I researched him sometime a few years ago, this is some of the things I found out. 1761, he was on the Ball plantation. He was born there, or he became a slave. He was like, 11 when he took off, I think, something like that. It was a rice plantation on the outside of the Charleston, South Carolina. It was the Ball plantation. He escaped in 1779, escaped with a bunch of others, and went to war for the Brits and the British, and became part of their loyal refugee volunteers in New York. After the war, he fled up to Nova Scotia, and he was promised some land up there. A lot of them did. The former slaves that made their way up there that fought, and he purchased lot 25. They first went into the colonies into Shelbourne area in Nova Scotia.
Yep.
And then he didn't stay. He was only there for a couple of years, I think, and then he went off to Nova Scotia and he bought a lot number 25 on Nova Scotia. Now, think about that. He went to Chester. He went to Chester first, and then he got the lot. But think about that. Why would he want a lot on an island that you had to take a boat to get to? I mean, that's the first question that hits me.
Question. Yep.
You know, why would he want that versus a nice piece of land in Shelbourne or Chester or somewhere else?
And what did he do before 1795?
Right.
Where was he? He arrived in Nova Scotia in 1783.
Mm-hmm.
So from 1783 to 1795, what did he do?
Yeah.
Ask Danny Henniger. He'll tell you.
And what was
blacksmith? He was a blacksmith.
You think so? Yeah.
Nova Scotia. He was a blacksmith. According to when I talked to Danny Henniger, and we were talking because he knows I'm kind of fascinated with this whole ball story. He said for a number of years, he said in the Shelbourne to Chester area, Samuel Ball was known to be a blacksmith. And I'm pretty sure a blacksmith doesn't make that kind of money that he can go out and start buying up lots.
No, I would not think so. And also Jan Skurza brought up a good point. Maybe he's hiding. You know, there's been, we got into a lot of talk on Discord last night talking about how they were treated back then, even though they were, given land and all of that because they helped to fight in the war, in the American Revolution. But maybe he was hiding. I don't know. It's hard.
Well, think about the point we were talking about in the pre-show. Right? There's no known portrait or picture of him.
Nothing.
Any person of wealth or significance or status would have had a portrait or picture done.
Mm-hmm.
Yet there's no known picture or portrait of him at all. So was he hiding?
Sounds like he was. Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. He fought he was involved in 2 wars, right? Mm-hmm. Right. He also in the War of 1812. So, I mean, he's, you don't make any friends going to war.
Mm. And then that made me think.
So he could be, he was doing stuff that he got people looking for him.
Yeah. And when you said that, Tom, it reminded me of how they were saying how the first version of the story of them finding the money pit, Samuel Ball's in it. And then 10 years later, he's not in it. Maybe it was him being like, don't include me in that story. I don't want my name out there. And
right.
Very possible.
Yeah. He was an escaped slave. So maybe he was hiding. Maybe he was afraid that, that slavery was still going strong in America and, and upward they might come up there and take over Nova Scotia and find you. I don't know. Who knows? But
yeah, I mean, I get like spy vibes from him. I think he was doing some sort of, he had some sort of deal with the military off books. So, maybe it's just in his nature. He was just sort of like a secret,
maybe.
Yeah. Cause he was involved in the revolution itself. Yep. And then in 1780, he went off with the British Army again somewhere.
Yep. Yeah. 9 years. Well, there was 2, it was funny because Doug and the other researcher, one of them said that he bought lot 25 in 1787. Yep. The other one said 1786. So right in that range, somewhere in there, he got lot 25. Then
he bought lot 25 and lot 26 well in advance of the discovery of the money pit.
Okay. Doug says the blacks landed in Shelbourne, were run out of town. They created Birchtown, then found his way to Oak Island, but he served in the British Royal Navy with Anderson, and that's where
he got it.
That's the connection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that that's one of those things. You see the buttons. In James Anderson was he was a captain for, and he was fighting for the Americans, who became the Americans. And then he kind of he defected or whatever.
He defected. He got. Didn't he get what they call in the paper of mark or whatever they call it?
Yes.
Where he became a pirate, profit-sharing pirate with the British government.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and that
letter of mark.
A letter of mark, right? And that coin, or not coin, but this button that was found, I think it leads back to James Anderson. Would it not? I don't know. But it was
from speculation,
yeah. I mean, that's, and this was the one that had the three, and it was written down. They called it a. Where did I write that down at? I forgot where I wrote it down. I love the way it was said. Oh, here, Master and Commander Officer of the Royal
Ship's
Navy.
master, yeah.
Master and Commander.
Well, I remember Laird was really impressed by this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it is very impressive because that means that Samuel Ball was tied to somebody of a high rank in the Royal, in the Navy, in the Royal Navy.
Samuel had to have been like some sort of guard, a watch out guy, and also, I don't know.
He associated with some big names, some important people, regardless of what he had done.
Yep.
Now, yeah.
So 1795 comes and goes, and then he continues to accumulate land.
Right. Now, why would you need that land? Again, we talked about this earlier. Why would you need that land if your cabbages, which there's no evidence that you did do cabbages, why would you need all that land to grow them? If the need for them is
one acre of land, you could grow literally thousands of cabbages.
Yeah.
You know, and each lot is 4 acres.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you were growing cabbages, you don't need that kind of space.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I didn't catch the date of this the first edition of this when it came out. The story of the finding of the money pit on Oak Island, when it first came out in the history of the county of Lunenburg. I didn't catch the date when this was published, but when it first came out, it had listed Vaughn, McGinnis, and Ball as the finders of the money pit.
Mm-hmm.
But then, when it was done again in 1895, I believe it was Ball's name was taken off and Smith's was added.
Yep. That's more than a clerical error.
That's yes. Yeah. So, I mean, and I remember talking about this, a couple of years ago. Why would your name, if you were hiding or you didn't want people to know about you, you didn't have any portraits of you painted or anything like that, you went and you bought this lot 26 on Oak Island, and you end up getting lot 27, but the money pit is found, and all of a sudden, and here's that section right here talking about named Ball and Vaughn, along with McGinnis, and then it changed later. And then you buy Hook Island.
Yep.
For whatever reason. And
he bought that from Daniel Vaughn.
And he bought that from
Coincidence? I don't know.
I think not. But here's the lots that he ended up owning. He started with 25, bought 24, 26, and 30 through 32, 6, 7, and 8. Okay. So he bought all those lots plus 100. Now, this was after the money pit was discovered. He bought these extra lots and 100 acres on the mainland.
Here's the part that drives me crazy. Lot 32, because he worked for the British soldiers, British Army, they got a certain amount of land granted to them, right? Why would you pick lot 32, a lot that is part of a swamp, to be the piece of land that the government granted you?
Yes. Why?
Wouldn't you pick a better piece of real estate?
I would think
not on an island.
Yeah, I would think you would personally, but so over time, and then you got the 3 guys. Okay, so you got the 3 guys: Vaughn, Smith, McGinnis, and Ball. 4 guys who all seem to be doing very, very well. And Smith ended up buying all of these lots, which includes a money pit on lot 18. So he bought all the eastern end of the island.
Yep. Smith even built a house at the money pit, right?
Yes, he did. He had a house just facing the money pit right there on the flat, up there on the flat area where they're working. He had a house there. And then those in the orange color or red color was where McGinnis owned lots. Again, why would you buy all of these lots on an island and clear them if you're, I mean, they were farmers, right? It said simple farmers, and they're buying all this land, and all of a sudden,
well, the Vaughns had a lumber mill on there, but that's other than that.
And that was over here somewhere on lot 1, wasn't it? Lot 1,
in that 1, 2, 3 area somewhere.
Yeah, right over here somewhere along the water's edge. Yeah. Yeah. So, and they became very wealthy. All of them did. So in that first 30 feet of the money pit, did they find something? Or did they find something elsewhere on the island? Now, when Terry DeVoe went over, and this was back in the earlier seasons, and Terry DeVoe, they this particular spot that Jack had found, he said, now here's something that too. Tom had brought this up. They were, what did Jack say? They were clearing the land, the brush and stuff away so that they could do metal detecting and look around on the ground. What was Vaughn and Smith and Ball doing? They were clearing land, supposedly for farming or whatever.
No, they're looking for markers.
Looking for markers.
So I forget who it was that had the theory that it was probably multiple people that like the founding fathers used some of this treasure to help fund their own revolution. So maybe Ball and others with connection to the British military were there to keep them from coming back because they knew there's still treasure and we don't want these Americans coming and getting what should belong to us, the loyalist members of this secret society.
Yeah.
Or take that one step further. Smuggling.
Yeah, somebody said that in the chat.
Yeah, somebody's smuggling the money back to the British because of loyalty. Yeah, Carolyn, thank you. Yep. Smuggling possibly. And another reason why you wouldn't want to be known. And getting back to the cabbages real quick, Linda brought up a very good point I want to mention too real quick, is that grown in a small, you can get about 16,000 per acre, larger ones of 14,000 per acre. Cabbages also require a large amount of water. You're going to have to be lugging water up there all the time and watering those things. So, yeah. So it's just not feasible, is it? The whole cabbage thing. Anyway.
It's a good cover, though.
It is a good
I'm just really good at cabbage. Hey.
Yeah. You know what else is a good cover? If you're digging down in the money pit and you know that there's a lot of people around that happen to know that you are, and you actually find some treasure, but you don't want people to know about it, but people know that you were digging for treasure. The word got out. They know you're digging for treasure, and you found some, but you don't want people to know that you found some. What would you do? You'd either go and say, oh, we didn't find anything, and you'd fill the hole back in, or you'd pretend that you still haven't found it and you need to keep digging. And you turn into this big story about how we need to keep going deeper and deeper and find it. We think there's more, some treasure down there, and hiding the fact that you already found some. I don't know. Just a thought.
Yeah. Or they could have found a false treasure too.
They could have.
I sometimes suspect the money pit is just a giant distraction and that the real treasure is in the swamp.
Could be. I think I'm starting to believe.
If not for Ian Spooner and the gold detection, I would be so frustrated that they're still looking in the money pit.
Yeah, me too. And I've said that before, because Ian is very adamant about the fact that because of him and Michaels and Matt Lupin finding the concentration of precious metals in the water samples, he says it's got to still be there.
Well, yeah, because it's not an opinion. It's not like they're saying, well, gee, I think I might have smelled gold, right? This is an instrument that's designed to measure, right, a quantity within another quantity, right? It's not a guess. It's not an estimate. It's not a feeling.
Yep.
Those are all the things that I like to do, Tom.
Go on emotion, all on emotion. It was brought up on the show that is it possible? It's a thought that through their service, Ball had met McGinnis, and both came to Nova Scotia, which would have been another possible reason why Ball would have went to Nova Scotia in the first place, or been up to Oak Island area.
Yeah, and keep in mind too, these guys were all tight. Like
Yes.
they're all executors and witnesses to each other's wills and property and deeds and documents.
Yep.
Like these are not just, three gentlemen farmers that are just kind of hanging out and just happen to coincidentally buy land in the same area.
Right.
There was a lot of trust between these people.
Yes, there was. Yes, there was. Absolutely. Very much so. I'm starting to believe that there might have been multiple caches of treasure, and that's been thought of before by some of the other theorists out there, that there was multiple caches of treasure around the island in different places. And why and how would you find it? You'd find it by clearing and searching. They didn't have metal detectors, obviously, back then, so you'd have to do a lot of painstaking work to try to figure out if there was any around.
Yep.
So
the best way to cover that is clear it.
Exactly. You clear it, you're going to get a good look at every inch of that land as you do it. And you got to, Gina, thank you so much. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much. I tell you what, I couldn't do it without Tom and Seth popping in, and Linda and Jan and everybody. It's a team effort here. So thank you very much. Appreciate that. Another interesting point as we start to wrap this up was the many treasure caches on Oak Island. They talked about the British capture of Spanish colony of Havana. This was brought up later in the show. And they talked about somewhere between, I think it was Randall Sullivan, talked about between 2 and 10 billion with a B of gold and silver and whatnot there in Havana at the time, but only about 800,000, less than what, or a very small amount made it back.
A very small portion, yeah.
A very small portion of it.
Well, it's the same story with the Phipps treasure, right?
Yep.
Silver.
I mean, some things never change. People just keep losing track of money.
Right.
Oh, we can't find it. We don't know what happened to those millions of dollars.
As far as we can tell, the Romans couldn't even keep hold of their coins.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
There's a laundromat there, and they just kept losing coins.
That copper penny, those copper pennies were worth a lot more than they are today. When you just, you drop one on the street and you just lost money to stop and pick it up. Sir William Phipps will be on next week's Tales of Oak Island.
Isn't that another example of, he should have returned that second time with way more silver and for some reason didn't?
Yeah, that's when he hired Belcher.
Oh, yeah.
And he got that same story. So 10 million, or you say, oh, well, that vault was supposed to have 10 million, but you only brought 1 million. What'd you do with the rest of it? All right, tell me, folks, if you're dealing with, if you're on a ship and you're thousands of miles across the ocean and you're gathering up all these riches that you're going to take back to Spain or back to England or back to wherever, are you going to skim a little off the top and hide it someplace before you head across?
Yeah, these guys weren't the most reputable either. Right? Some of these guys were conscripted into being on the ship that they were on. So
yeah,
slide a few pounds my way, and we were never here.
Exactly. One last thing I wanted to point about this picture here is this stone down here in the front. This one right down here, very flat stone. I mean, it's odd to find them so flat and thick. There's another picture of it here, right there. And you heard Terry DeVoe say something about a capstone or a wall stone to mark a hiding place. Boy, sure seemed like a great hiding place to me. I don't know what you guys.
If you look at the lines where the moss is not, I mean, it almost reminds you of where they would put the stone drill.
Yeah,
the metal drill in.
Yep.
To break it.
Yeah, to break it off and chunk it off all along this edge here to make it nice and straight here too. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Very good point.
But we speculate.
But yes, we do. And that's why we are the speculation team here. And we have our newest speculation team member of Mr. Seth here. He's going to be joining us throughout the season, I hope.
Happy to speculate.
Yes. Yes, Linda, I will. I saw your message there. So I don't know. What did you guys think about this? What do you think about your overall impression of Tales from Oak Island? First of all, and I'm still very excited about this season. Last night's episode was not packed with all kinds of
stimulating information and finds, but I still think it was very good. I was very happy to watch it and talk about it today. So, but I'm really enjoying it. Didn't they find stones with drilled holes in them? Yes, they did.
And yeah,
yes, they did, Jan.
I'm enjoying the season so far. I really like this new Tales from Oak Island.
Yeah,
me too. It's more in depth, and it's not. It is a little bit of a rehash of, some information that we already knew, but no.
I saw Doug commented earlier when you said that it's a little bit of rehashing, but good. And he said, but it's good hash. And I thought that was funny.
Easy, Doug, easy.
Yeah. It might be some rehashing, but it's good hash. And yes. I second that. I've been surprised by it. It's really cool. Like the one, if I'm going to pick one bone, and this is just a personal thing, we were kind of joking about AI on our Discord chat last night, and something about AI and AI digitally rendered images just feels weird to me. I feel like, I don't know what, that's my only, it's beautiful artwork, but it's not, I don't know. I don't know.
But
it least, weirds me out.
At least they're putting the disclaimer on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I noticed that because the first episode, I don't know if I noticed it, and I didn't think of it until I saw someone in the chat here say, "Did y'all notice the AI images?" And I said, "Oh, it was AI," and now I can't not see the
like watching a cartoon.
Yeah. I mean, it'll probably grow on me. I think it's probably just my own personal hangups. Because other than that, the information is great. I love the old pictures, and like with a story like Samuel Ball, like Tom Burns was saying, there's no portraits, there's no art, so of course they're going to have to use some AI. Thank you, Jan. I'm not alone. It just weirds me out.
I could take them or leave them. It really doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah, but the content other than that, so good.
I have to admit that I am a user of AI to a small degree and AI art.
Well, there's a member of our team on the Facebook group. I forget her name. Is it Amanda? She does really cool. Well, she'll turn us she's turned us into Templars and stuff and members of the team. I like that stuff. So shout out to her for the one some of the stuff that I do like.
Some of the thumbnails that I have created are using AI.
Interesting.
pictures.
It's a good tool.
I got a thing where I can type in what I want, and it gives me some different pictures to choose from. It makes them up, and that's about as far as I go. I don't write my writings. It's all, you can see my scratching here. That's all handwritten stuff, along with using Jan's notes and the scratching I have on here and everything else. But yeah, I do use it for pictures occasionally. So
the
cartoonish.
See the History Channel should link up with Amanda, because what she did with what did she do with Linda in front of the UFO for the Skinwalker Ranch version?
Yeah.
Did you know which one I'm talking about? It's Linda right in front of I love that one. That one's one of my favorite ones.
Yep. Well, anyway, the big takeaway with Sam Ball is, quotes, "You can't rule out that he found some treasure. No matter what you do with this whole story of Samuel Ball, you cannot rule out that he did not find treasure."
Right. Until someone can show me how he accumulated that kind of wealth, being a blacksmith and a cabbage farmer, he found treasure. I'm kind of backwards,
and
it was in reverse.
And as Laird said, also, I believe he said, it was talking about the fact that none of them, Vaughn, Ball, or none of them, were known. I thought they were. I thought Ball had been seen trading in some gold coins or something.
That's what I thought too.
But apparently he hasn't. There's no record of it.
No record of it. Now, the other thing to keep in mind too is that, and I know I've gone down this road before, is that Vaughn bought out his brother in 1796 with sufficient enough money to move to New Brunswick and St. Martin's on the Bay of Fundy, buy large sections of land, and open a lumber mill and a shipbuilding yard.
Now, how did he get all that?
Where did he get that money that he can suddenly buy his brother out off and get him off of Oak Island in 1796?
Yeah. How's that possible?
And they became one of the wealthiest families in New Brunswick at the time.
Did the Irvings have some of that money too? I mean, they own
No, they found it a different way, but I think they run the Viking settlement up in the Miramichi.
Maybe so, right?
Golden cabbages. Yes.
Yeah. Golden cabbage from the egg.
Yep. All right, folks. Well, next week or tomorrow night, Thanksgiving, and I wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving once again, and hope you enjoy your holiday weekend, whichever you may be doing. I'm traveling over to the Columbus area in Ohio with family and stuff. We're going to have a good time over there, and I hope you do as well. We don't have no show for the rest of this week, of course. Next week, again, we'll be back here on Wednesday night for Curse of Oak Island. Seth, you going to join us for that one? Can you?
Yeah, love to.
Cool. Yes, please do. Come back and whenever you want. You're welcome.
Yes, absolutely. December the 5th, we have Donna McCauley. Now, Donna was with Gypsy Jules, and they were out on a couple of the Beyond Oak Island episodes doing some metal detecting. Donna McCauley's got some new stuff that she's been working on, and she's going to join us Thursday night at 7:30 p.m., always 7:30 p.m. And then on the 12th, we have James Keenan is going to join us. And James has been doing some workout, and I've got to watch that show tonight. Blind Frog Ranch is something I never really got into, but I'm going to check that out.
I've watched them all.
Yep. And then on the 19th, the last one for the rest of the year, I think. Well, we might have one. Well, we'll see. But the 19th, we have KG and Ringy, who are a couple of metal detecting gurus. These guys are so awesome.
Yeah, they're right.
If you have not seen KG and Ringy, just simply go to the YouTube and type in KG and Ringy, RINGY, and see what you find, because they've got some great stuff. They used to be on Nat Geo, where they did a lot of. There are a couple of. They're such nice guys. They truly, truly are. I got a chance to meet them, and we're going to have them on the show on the 19th. And Mark Hoover is going to be joining me for that one. So. Thank you, Seth. Thank you, Tom. As always, appreciate it. Linda, Jan, and thank all of you for being here with us tonight. We really appreciate it. Don't forget, if you like the content of the show we gave you here tonight, please give us a thumbs up. We really appreciate it very much. And we will catch you all next time on the J Free 906 podcast and the Freeman Files. Good night.
Good night.